even by soldiers here. So many families are disrupted. As we say that saving one life is like saving all of humanity, right? So once again, this 20 years, what it brought, it's really strange. If you look at 20 years, Dubai, how much it changed. The face of Dubai changed in 20 years. Right? And the amount of money spent perhaps was less than what Afghanistan have spent in Afghanistan, maybe, I don't know. Right? So, this 20 years could have been much more positive, much more, for an advanced nation, for those who claim to be the, front runners of the modern, postmodern civilization, who wants to land in Mars. What is the state of the affair of human beings and human rights in the region, and what they have contributed and what they have done. So this is something that we should be aware of, and we should reflect upon, and at the same time, see the reasons of this deterioration of Muslims or in the region, in Afghanistan or in Yemen or in other places, where it started, when it started, how it started. And then at the same time, those who try to revive that and how they've been labeled and what they have done with them. Another thing that we need to really look at, who is voicing their opinion against this occupation, against this, presence, and how they are doing it. Once again, that is something to be, considered and looked at, right? And support intellectually, academically, right? So I think on this eve of Ashura, which is a very sad day, we revoke the Shuhada of Karbala and Imam Hussain, that let there be peace and stability and education and tolerance and love and kindness in the region, and may Allah protect the lives of innocent Afghani families and brothers in the region, inshallah, and may Allah make their future the best, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alayhi tahri. Now going back onto the point, as we mentioned, that thana is really focusing upon the malakuti realm, and that's where the thana comes about. Hamd is focused upon the dunya. That's why Imam Hussain alayhi salam is saying that I am thankful, or I am praising Allah for whether I am in sarra'i or dharra'i, whether I am having good time or worse time, still I am saying hamd. Then we also talked about the level of rida, 2 nights before, that being pleased with. Yes, it is very difficult. We are not awliya. When we face problems, when we face issues, when we are tested, there are trials and tribulation, it's not possible to be happy. The way I was saying, one should be very happy. It's easy to say, but principally speaking, the possibility is there, because when an individual, when a person, embark upon this path of servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of ubudiyat, of fulfilling the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that honor which I'm talking, and in that way he approaches the responsibility, then Allah will take him. Allah will purify him. That's why the salihin, the righteous one, as Allah says that, they are the one whom shaitan will not be able to deviate them. The salihin are those who are on the path, and shaitan will not deviate them. Clearly the ayah of the Quran says that. The salihin with the fatilam. The fatilam salihin, mukhlasin. The mukhlasin are the one who shaitan will not deviate them. Mukhlasin with the fatilam, right? With the fatah on Allah, mukhlasin. Mukhlasin are those who Allah have purified them. So therefore, when Allah purified them, why? Because they have worked hard on their purification, and then Allah purifies them. I mentioned this earlier as well. Agha Bahjat was asked, how to reach the maqam of mukhlasin with the fatih lam. There's mukhlasin with the kasr lam. There's mukhlasin with the fatih lam. With the fatih lam, mukhlasin are Allah is the one who have purified, thorough purification. Right? But the mukhlasin with the kasr lam is the one who is struggling to purify themselves. They are mukhlis, they are trying. They are trying to show their ikhlas, their khulus, their sincerity in their action. So our Bahjat says that first you have to be mukhlis. Sincerely you have to act for the sake of Allah, every action for the sake of Allah with ikhlas, which we spoke on Friday, I think in the sermon of khutbah about ikhlas. Then after a while, Allah will, grab you. Allah will take you. Allah will basically protect you after that. What a great and beautiful state that would be, that there is no waswas for me, there is no shaitan for me, because Allah have purified me. After that is nothing but, I will be elevating myself. Yes, I will be elevating myself, but, as we said, there is hal and station and darajat. Even in that valley of purification, there are levels. I may not be doing something haram, but even what I am doing as mubah I will be, affected by my progress. I will have to consider and seek forgiveness for even mubah. The ulama qadim, the old scholars, they would say that, we only had two actions, wajib and mustahab. We don't know what makruh was, we don't know what mubah was. Everything that we did was wajib or mustahab, that's it. Haram ke forget, the ulama, the scholars. For them, as you know, there are 5 categories of action, right? Wajib, haram, mustahab, makruh and mubah. These are the 5 categories they divide, right? So every act is either wajib or it is haram or it is, makruh or mustahab or mubah, right? So the ulama qadim, the old ulama scholars, they used to say that we only have 2 actions, which is wajib or mustahab. That's it. Other than that, we are not supposed to do anything. Everything that we do should be wajib or mustahab, right? So these are the actions. So if we weigh our actions in this category, right? Wajib, we are fulfilling, and mustahab, okay, fine. We haven't reached to that stage, but like I said, gradually when we try to do our ikhlas, our actions, our amal, then we may be able to. But at least we know that is there. Half of the problem of ours is that, we don't know the goal. If we know the goal, half of the problem is solved. If we don't know the goal, if we don't know the target, we are running in circles. But if we know something, that is the target, that's where we are heading, then there's a lot of things, the discipline will come about, organization will come about, there will be no sort of depression or confusion, because we know the target. That's where we are heading. That's what I want to be, right? So if there be any ups and downs, still I have the target in my eyes, in front of me. This is where I want to reach. Yes, there will be ups and downs, but still I'll be heading towards that target, right? So, the harakat of Imam Hussain, that's what it reminds us. It reminds us of that humanity. It reminds us of that purification. It reminds us of seeking forgiveness. It reminds us of, forgetting the past, meaning that, Allah will forgive me, and now I have to, plan for the future. Now I have to change my life. That's why they say that in the tears of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, when a person shed tears for Imam Hussain alayhi salam, his sins are forgiven. Right? Not only that he shed tears, but the narration says that if he make a face like crying, still, if he throw himself like crying, he make noise, he throw himself, he's acting like crying, that is also mustahab for Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Because these halat will bring about that melting of the heart. If I put my head down, if I think about crying, the difficulties and the sorrow that the Imam have gone through and the family have gone through, eventually bring that love in my heart. Now, one of the things that I would like to point out to is that on the day of Ashura, is a day of huzn, a day of sorrow. What happened to Salma? She says that I had a dream on the day of Ashura. I saw Rasulullah without the amama. I saw Rasulullah, his sleeves were tied up, and he was in a state of sorrow and huzn. And then he informed me about the martyrdom of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Right? Now, there are certain actions that we do, for example, on the day of Ashura, which you may have heard from your elders, that we don't give salams. Okay. Some people ask me, can we give salams on the day of Ashura? Can we go not give salams? I said, okay. Some people ask me, can we do dua on the day of Ashura? Can we ask hajat? I mean, these questions are a bit, one should reflect before asking these questions. Salam, well, it's not haram. Salam is okay to give. Salam, you can give salam. But however, usually on the day of Ashura, we don't greet each other, because salam is like a greeting. People go and write to the marja, what shall we do? Can we give salam? The marja will say, okay, Baba, if you write to marja and say, can I do aghd on the day of Ashura, is it halal? He will say, it's halal, it's not haram. What type of question are you asking? You should understand the intensity of that question. I mean, all of these mustahabbat, which, I'm giving that term mustahabbat because it's not mustahab. There is no riwayat which says that it is mustahab not to give salams. You don't have that. But I'm saying that these recommendations, let me not use the word mustahab. The recommendations that we have from our scholars, from our traditional scholars, old scholars, are all to create an atmosphere, an environment that, one is focused towards the azadari of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. I'm about to give salam. I say, oh, today no salam. Why? Because it's the day of shahadat of Imam Hussain. I'm reminded of the shahadat. Continuously, as many people I see, I will be reminded of what? I will be reminded of shahadat of Imam Hussain. It's the day of remembrance of shahadat of Imam Hussain. That's what it will happen. I would like to see someone, I'm seeing someone, about to give salam, I'm not. What I'm doing? I'm saying, Adam Allah ujuruna ujurku. I'm extending the condolences. Right? And then, while doing so, I am reminded of the shahadat of Imam Hussain. Because that's the day that, is a musibat on heaven and earth. There's a change in heaven and earth. That's the reason behind it. You don't need to write to this marja and ask, can we give salams on the day of Ashura? Okay. Will you ever write and say to your marja and say, can I do aghd on the day of Ashura? You will never do that. And the marjas will reply, aghd on the day of Ashura, okay. He says, haram, is there some place said that it is haram to get married on the day of Ashura? So all of these mustahabbat that have been coined, once again, all of these recommendations that have been coined by our scholars was for a purpose. Dua, can you do dua? Yes, you can do dua. Imam Hussain did dua on the day of Ashura. You have duas, like as we were speaking about duas, where he's praising Allah. So that's a dua as well. But can I ask my hajat on the day of Ashura? You have all 364 days to ask for your hajat. Only one day you want to, ask, can I ask hajat on the day of Ashura? It's a day of Ashura where one should be only, one's mind should not be in a place of remembering one's dunya. It's the day of, that day, there is no day like Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. This day never happened. Imam was never killed in this fashion. It's the most saddest and, sad day for Ahlul Bayt. Is it a day that I could remember my hajat? I should not even thinking about my hajat. I should be only thinking about Hussain and what happened to Hussain. I should be in that state. Forget asking about the dunya, right? For example, when your close one passes away, right? It's not the day that you are not in your senses. Your closest, the one that you love the most, you have lost. You're not in a state of giving salams. You're not in the state of doing du'as. Okay, I want a new car, I want, new house, or I want to get married, or I want to, pass my exam. You're not in that state. That's how a lover of Hussain is on the day of Ashura. There's nothing for him to remember other than what happened. There's continuously, he must be reflecting, she must be reflecting. That's the purpose of it. That's the purpose of not giving salams. We have to think about it. A person would be not in that state, because the musibat that happened on Abu Abdullah al-Hussain is unimaginable. Right? It's beyond a human heart to comprehend. I mean, it is actually this, matam and poetry and crying that a human being contains oneself from this musibat. One may go crazy. I think there was a person who was known as, I'm forgetting, Muhammad Turk or Ahmad Turk. He's buried in Qom. No. Whenever the musibat was recited, he would bang his head on the wall. And he was a thief. And later on, Abu Abdullah blessed him and forgive him. That he was known for, he was a thief and he was known, he was like a very rowdy, a very corrupt person. He was known in the city. And he came to majlis of a person. And then this person said, no, this place is not for you, you go away. He rejected. Because this person who is a thief, who is a robber, or who is a corrupt person, who is well known in the city for drinking, for everything, you name it, for all the crimes, right? So this man said, no, majlis is not for you, go away. So he had a dream, and in that dream, if I may recollect and transfer it, but the meaning of the dream, I will transfer that, the whole story. Imam Hussain alayhi salam was there, and this man who was the host of the majlis, he wanted to attend Imam Hussain, but Imam Hussain rejected him. He said, why, I love you, Imam Hussain, I do majlis, so on and so forth. And Imam Hussain said that, my lover came and you rejected him. Right? The person who was, you cannot imagine what he was into. Then next morning he goes to his house and apologizes. Because Imam said, till you apologize to him, I'm not going to allow you. So he goes and apologizes to this man who was a thief, who was a corrupt person. And then that changed his life. And then he became a person who was pure, a person who was sincere, one of the best person of the town. And whenever the majalis of Imam Hussain was mentioned, he was bang his head onto the wall. And he's buried in one of the graveyards in Qom and No, in the graveyard which is opposite to the Haram of Hazrat Masuma. People go do ziyarat for him. He became so famous, right? So the majalis of Imam Hussain is that, it changes us. And the activity that revolves around that, that come about due to the majalis of Imam Hussain has its own role in the culture, in the community. And that must be respected, and that must be, one must participate in that. That's the way how we will be able to show our love, through these things. We have to do something. On a Valentine's Day, when our children go to even nursery, they make cards, with heart. Why are you doing that? Oh, it's showing love. Okay, showing love, keep in your heart. You don't have to show love. They have to do something. Some activity should be there in order to reflect that. So all of this alam and black clothing and wearing black clothes and sitting on the ground, and farsh aza as we call it, tabarruk, all of these things are ways of showing our love to Imam Hussain. Yes, we may be shy to participate, It's something odd and new perhaps to us, certain things, like taking the alam, our children, when they take the alam, they may be shy to do that. It is something that they do it in India and Pakistan, for example, mostly, or even Iran, they have different type of alam that they do, right? But this is a way of expressing the love to Imam Hussain. So even along with the message of Imam Hussain, which is for humanity, which is for purification, which is for justice, with the message of Imam Hussain, we also have to have the cultural and other activities that come along in order to maintain, in order to have some sort of form. That is something needed. If my parents were not wearing black clothes, if your brothers were not wearing, if the community were not wearing black clothes in the majlis of Imam Hussain, eventually that would have been faded away. Nobody would be wearing black, everybody will be wearing different types of clothes. There will be no uniformity as such. It will not represent something, right? But now as this has become part and parcel of majlis of Imam Hussain, black clothes, look what symbol it manifests and what it does. Just the little black clothes, There's so many things come about with it, so many good things. As they say, there's a sunnah which is considered as a good sunnah that have been placed. And once again, like I say, all of these cultural activity that we perform have some doctrinal mustahabbi root to it, right? Majlis itself. Why not a conference? Majlis, the first thing Siddiqa Soghra did after she was relieved, that she did a majlis. She said, Sajjad, rent a place. I want to do a majlis of Imam Hussain. Right? So they sat on the ground in a humble way. So it's important to uphold these activities and participate and support, rather than undermining them under the slogan of, oh, these are cultural things, we shouldn't do this. No. Even before saying that, research a bit, reflect a bit, look at the purpose of it. At least instead of discarding them, be reluctant or withhold your opinion and see how it goes and where it's going, right? So Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and tonight particularly, as you see, is the night of Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam. And that's why you find mothers bringing their children dressed like Ali Asghar, because this is a reminder. They tie a banner, a band on their head. This shows something, this reflects something. This reminds us of that sacrifice of Imam Hussain. As they say, when Hazrat Ismail's mom just saw the mark of the dagger on the neck of Ismail, she died crying. She was in pain. She just saw the mark. And then this sacrifice was changed to the greater sacrifice which Imam Hussain did. A ram was sent. But here I wonder how Rubab was feeling. That day when Imam Hussain alayhi salam, all of the ashab are shaheed. All of them have gone and sacrificed their life. I'm making it very short because it's coming closer to prayer. All of the ashab have been shaheed. Now Imam Hussain is in his gear, in his armor, ready. And after parting farewell from the family, he goes to the ground, to the battlefield. And he calls, Hal min nasir yansurani. Is there any helper to help me? This call of Imam Hussain has been since he left Medina in different ways, till the last day. And he also have informed his ashab or other people who he has invited that do not be in a place where you could hear my call when I say, is there any helper to help me? And if you don't come to my call, you are doomed, because it's the call of an Imam. So Imam Hussain, on the day of Ashura, after everybody is shaheed, he says, Hal min nasiri ansurani. Some of the narrations points out to that the bodies of the shuhada shaken up with this call. And the alam-e arwah, they said, oh Hussain, if we had life, if we were in this world, we would have helped you. Right. So here, when Imam Hussain calls, then all of a sudden after this call, there was an uproar in the tent of women. Imam Hussain turned back. He came back to the tent. And then he says, what, I'm still alive. Why, what these calls are for? Why everybody is crying so loudly? Then they said, when you said, Hal min nasiri yansuruni, is there any helper for help to help me? Asghar throwed himself from the cradle. Asghar is trying to say something. It's a very special night, brothers and sisters, tonight. And perhaps the last night of, if we live next year, we will have the 9th night of Ashura. May Allah give you long life with health and tawfiqat. So here, Imam Hussain knows what the child is saying. He's the Imam, he understands. Because when Imam Hussain alayhi salam was leaving Medina and Asghar was with Fatima Sughra, the younger daughter of Imam Hussain, who he did not bring to Karbala. And he was in the lap of Fatima Sughra, the sister of Asghar, and he wasn't coming. You know, some children, when they go in someone's lap, they don't come to you. And they say Hussain came near Asghar and he said something in the ear of Asghar, and quickly Asghar threw himself to Hussain. Hussain needed a soldier that will remain till eternity. The sacrifice of this soldier is remain till eternity. That is 6-month-old baby, sacrifice for his father, for deen, for imamat, for wilayat. So here Imam Hussain says that, let me take this child, let me take this baby, let me take Asghar. As he is thirsty for last 3 days and he is crying, maybe I can fetch some water for him. So Imam Hussain alayhi salam, in that midst of the war, scorching heat, puts Asghar, puts the Abba around Asghar, and he comes out of the tent. When he comes out of the tent, the enemies saw Hussain approaching. So everybody thought maybe Hussain is bringing Quran with respect. Yes, indeed, it was a Quran, but a Quran in natiq, a Quran that spoke, and a Quran that clarified what is haq and what is batil. That is Asghar. And then he came and he moved forward, and slowly he moved the Abba from the face of Asghar. The whole Umar Saad army were shaken up to see Asghar. Now, in the margin, let me tell you this, in terms of the warfare, Mukhtar reports this as well in regards to when he asked Hurmula how he killed Asghar. In terms of the warfare, if you do research as well yourself, the weapons and the different types of weapons they use, they say that there was a type of weapon which is known as three-headed arrow. And they use the three-headed arrow to break the neck of horses. Or they use the three-headed arrow to break the tree trunks. And Hurmula, when he reports to Mukhtar, he says, I brought three three-headed arrows to this war, because it perhaps may be an expensive weapon. So he only brought three-headed arrows. Mukhtar asked him, what did you do? He says, one three-headed arrow I hit on the chest of Hussain on the day of Ashura, which hit the target. The second three-headed arrow, when Umar Saad asked me, target the neck of Asghar. At that time, when I target the neck of Asghar, I saw the mother of Asghar at the door, at the tent. And my hands started to tremble. And I shot the arrow, but I missed the target. But the third arrow, Umar Saad shouted at me and he said, Hurmula, what happened to you? Vow unto you. Then here I target the neck of Asghar. And it hit the target, the little neck of Asghar, imagine, with the three-headed arrow when Hussain lifted Asghar. Hussain lifts Asghar and Asghar speaks. Hussain says that, is there anyone to provide this little one a sip of water? How much water a 6-month-old need? 1 spoon? As he raises the head, Umar Saad shouted, target the neck of Asghar. And here, as it says that when Hussain was holding the baby in the hand, the neck of Asghar was pierced with the arrow, and in one hand of Hussain was the head of Asghar, in the other hand of Hussain there was the body of Asghar. And the arrow hit the shoulder of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And then it was very difficult for Imam Hussain to carry this baby and give it back to the mother. One of the amal of Ashura that we do is this. We have never seen Hussain taking a body, moving forward and returning back. For the body of Asghar, Hussain moves forward towards the tent. He says, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi rajaun. And he returns back again. 7 times, when a musibat happens, you say 1 time, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. But the musibat of Imam Hussain alayhi salam in regards to Asghar was so difficult that he says 7 times, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He moves forward and he comes back again. He moves forward and he comes back again. And finally he takes little Asghar and gives to Rabab. And they were lamenting and crying in the tents. And one of the shaheed that Imam Hussain buried on the day of Ashura was Asghar. They say that after this, Hussain went behind the tent and he digs open the grave with Zulfiqar and he buries Asghar. But when they looted the tents, when they buried the tents, they counted the heads of the shuhada. They said 1 head is missing. So they said that we know that Hussain had buried Asghar behind the tent. So let's throw the spears in the ground, and they were throwing the spears and trying to dig open. And they throw 1 spear behind the tent and the body of Asghar came out. And the neck of Asghar was also placed on the spear. From Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham. Allah la'natullah ala qawm az-zalimin, sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayyi munqalibin yanqalibun.
Jazakallah Maulana. Jazakallah. We have around about 8 minutes. I'm going to invite Brother Sultan Sachik to come in to make some announcement while we are going to put the partition. After Brother Sultan Sachik, Brother Ibrahim did give the azan, inshallah.
If I can just have a few moments of your time, if you could just stay seated. You probably know why I'm up here. Many of our brothers have spoken here about fundraising, the giving during this month of Muharram for the love of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, right? But one of the things I tend to do is I look at the events of Karbala. And what did Imam Hussain alayhi salam do? What was his objective? How did he go about doing that? What were the lessons? Try and learn from the lessons of his acts that we could apply to our lives, right? Because all of his acts were following the commands of Allah. Every act led to the nearness to Allah. Every act was a pleasure for the pleasure of Allah. And I think we try and learn that. And we all know what his objective was, right? It was probably the greatest sacrifice to save Islam, to save its principles, right? Its values. And for us to always remember that as a guide, as a beacon. You know, Imam Hussain alayhi salam has become a beacon not only for Muslims, but non-Muslims alike. People that have been oppressed all over the world, right? have learned from Imam Hussain alayhi salam how to gain their freedom, right? How to seek nearness to Allah, the pleasure of Allah. But when I think about his acts, I think, okay, what was he thinking? What did he want to achieve, and how was he going to do that? There's so many examples along the way, and I think many of you know these. But recently I was reflecting on one particular situation. And I'll keep saying the love of Imam Hussain, but is it our love for him that all of this has come about? We're here today because of him. How did it all come about? Or was it his love for us? Was his sacrifice something that he did just for himself, for his family, for his companions? Or was his mission much greater than that? And I think we know that. His mission is much greater than all of what I described, right? It is for what he left behind was a legacy for generations to come. But there was one act which I asked myself, that the thought of the thinking of Imam Hussain alayhi salam to make his mission complete and where we are today, so everybody knows about his sacrifice. There was one particular incident that happened when he first came to Karbala. Do you know what that is? Let me ask you. What was one of the first acts of Imam Hussain alayhi salam when he came to Karbala? Anyone want to wager a guess? He bought the land. He put his wealth, right? Some say 60,000 dirhams. I don't know what it would be today. He bought the land. First he put the wealth down, but why? Why did he buy the land, right? When we read the Quran, what does Allah say? This is the greatness of Allah. One of his signs is what? Is giving life to something that is dead, right? Sorry. It's giving life to something that, what does Allah say in the Quran? Look at this land, it is dry, nothing grows on it. I bring rain and it becomes alive. But what did when Imam Hussain alayhi salam bought the land, what did Bani Asad tell him? Why are you buying this? Why do you want to buy this land? Nothing grows on it. What was his response? This is from narrations. What was his response? He said that I will make this land fertile with my blood, with my sacrifice, with the blood of my kin, of my companions. I will make this land fertile. I want you to reflect on this as to where we are today and what Imam Hussain alayhi salam was thinking to establish where we are today, right? Just think about what he gave for us. He gave that land back to Bani Asad so that he knew that his Zawar, his Shia, would come to visit him. And the other thing I think we shouldn't forget is the role that Bibi Zainab Salamun alayh played. She introduced and established the institution of Majalis. Correct me if I'm wrong, Maulana. Think of the gift that we've gotten from Imam Hussain alayhi salam that he gave on the day, during Ashura. Not only his life, he could put his wealth. What? For generations to come, futures to come. And the institution of Majalis has led to the knowledge that we have today to seek nearness to Allah, to seek the pleasure of Allah. That sacrifice, as Allah has said, I bring rain to bring life. This sacrifice of Imam Hussain alayhi salam brings life, not on land, but brings life right here. It makes us alive, right? That love makes us alive. If we're dead here, we remember Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and this comes alive. I won't say any more, but I want you to think about this, what he gave. We want to continue what he started. You know what's going on. Karbala, what a beautiful place, a haven that's been created for us to go, to reflect, to think, to seek their love, the nearness, ultimately to Allah and our destination, which is our eternity. He has secured that for us through his sacrifice, by giving. By giving. We see that in our buying. What an act of giving. And the extension of that are our centers, MOMIN, all the centers around the United States, around the world, that we keep this legacy of Imam Hussain alayhi salam and Ahlul Bayt alive. We continue to grow with their love, we continue to learn, we continue to teach our children, we continue to have majalises so we may continue to grow. Ultimately, what's our destination? We're back to Allah, but we do it in the most beautiful of manners. What a gift. What a gift Imam Hussain alayhi salam has given us. So please think about this. We are here for what purpose? Look around you every day. The blessings that we've had because of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Please feel the give with your hearts. Give with the blessing that rewards everything. I know certainly I cannot be eloquent enough to talk about what Maulana has been talking about all these days, the teachings and the learnings from Karbala. But give is the best gift for the love of Imam Hussain. He showed his love by giving so much, and what is established for us to guide us. Please give. We have a modest goal here at MOMIN. You can see what we provide, and it keeps us going for another year, inshallah, Allah willing. We'll be here again next year. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And may Allah bless you and your families. May He grant us the opportunity to seek the nearness of Him through the love of Ahlul Bayt, through the love of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And may we have the opportunity countless times to visit for ziyarat. Jazakallah khair. Allah, Ameen. Salawat, please.
While the azan is going on, can you proceed for the hall C so we can make the saf? Bismillah.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين عليًا ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين عليًا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير الأعمال حي على خير الأعمال الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله اللهم اغفر المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات بحرمة سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات
لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين وأولاد المعصومين هجج الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله أستغفر الله ربي الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقود. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم. لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم. سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب الأرضين السبع وما فيهن وما بينهن وهو رب العرش العظيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين. الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وتقبل شفاعته ورفع درجته بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقول. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله. سبحان الله والحمد لله. استغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وارزقنا شفاعته. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقنا بهم العافية وتمام العافية ودوام العافية عافية الدين والدنيا والآخرة بحق قدرته الطاهرة. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله اللهم ارزقنا توفيق الطاعات وبعد المعصيات اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات برحمة أرحم الراحمين آمين رب العالمين وصلى الله عليه محمد وآل أهل البيت الطيبين الطاهرين. Inshallah, brothers and sisters, tomorrow for the day of Ashura, we're going to have the Azan Ali Akbar program at 5 a.m. And that's going to start at 5 a.m. Going to go to 5:30 and end with Salat al-Fajr, inshallah. And then we're going to have the midday program, inshallah. That's going to begin at 12 p.m. with Ziyarat Ashura. Also, there is a Jalus in downtown Fort Worth at the JFK Memorial. And we humbly request everyone to go to that as well. And then after the midday program, which will end at around 4:30, MOMIN will be closed from 5 until I believe 8, inshallah. Yeah, and then inshallah at 8 o'clock we'll have the Sham-e Ghariban program. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, salawat, Allahumma. Also, Surah Fatiha is requested for all the Mahrameen and Mahramat, and especially the brother of Maulana Beg, who unfortunately has passed away. So if everyone could please recite a Surah Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين وأولاد المعصومين حجج الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه أستغفر الله من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه إنه كان غفارا الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقول بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات تعبئ بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك والي الحاجات إنك على كل شيء قدير وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وتقبل شفاعته وارفع درجته بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقود سبحان الحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله سبحان الله والحمد لله أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته أقوم سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله سبحان الله والحمد لله سبحان الله والحمد لله أستغفر الله ربي الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولعن مناداهم. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله يا أهل التقوى والمغفرة يا أرحم الراحمين بحرمة محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
Just a reminder of the programs. I was told that brothers at the back were not able to hear the announcement earlier. The day of Ashura program will start with the Azan Ali Akbar at 5, and then we'll have the Majlis by Maulana Sayyid Mudassir Shah Muswi. And 5:30 we'll have the Salat al-Fajr, and at noon we will have the Ziyarat Ashura, the Amal, and followed by we'll have the English poetry, and then Majlis in English by Maulana Mirza Abbas. At 1 we will have the Amal Ashura itself, and at 1:30 we'll have the Zohar and Salat. Then we will have the Urdu program. The Urdu Majlis will be led by Maulana Mirza Abbas. And at 3:20 we will have the Taboot and the Alam procession. And at 4 we'll have Ziyarat al-Qama. The program will conclude with Faqih Shikni. To-go boxes will be provided at the Niyaz, at the exit itself. We will not be serving food. And then from 5 till 8, MOMIN will be closed for cleaning. And then we will, inshallah, reconvene at 8:25 for the Sham Ghariba program with the Maghrib and Salat, followed by the Urdu program led by Maulana. The Majlis will be in both Urdu and English, led by Maulana Mirza Abbas. And 9:30 we will have the Salam-e-Akhir, and the program will conclude with Matam. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم ارزقنا في الدنيا زيارة الحسين وفي الآخرة شفاعة الحسين. اللهم احشرنا تحت لواء الحسين واكتبنا في زمرة شيعة الحسين. اللهم ادخلنا في الجنة من باب الحسين واجعلنا من الباقين في عزاء الحسين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى MOMIN, a special request for the brothers, if you can please make your way to Hall A, and you can do the taqibat at the back. We have to vacate the Hall C and B for the sisters. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salamat. Brothers, if you can wait to exit the hall. We don't want a crowd at the exit. Hello.